We should sing Nitai Padakama. Do we have songbooks? I have Nitai Padakama in English. You want to sing it in English? You want to hear it in English?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Look at this picture, Lord Nityananda. You've seen it before? Very transcendental. Too much transcendental. Shiny time. Wow. You can all look at this picture and the count of three say wow. 1, 2, 3.
Wow!
Okay. So a devotee wrote it in English. So I will sing it to one of the melodies in English. You all understand English, right? Bengali maybe not so much. So we'll sing it in Bengali also, but we'll first sing it in English. Are you ready? Are you ready? The lotus feet of Lord Nitai, like 10 million moons in the sky, flood this fevered world with cool relief. Without knowing Nitai's mercy, Shama and Radha we shall not see. Hold firm his feet with firmest belief. He who does not Nitai attain passes his precious life in vain. Beast-like engrossed in sinful excess, never call Nitai's pure name, sensual without any shame. His birth and learning are all useless. We push Lord Nitai aside, maddened with pretension and pride. We take the unreal to be real. By gaining grace from Nitai's grace, we soon see Krishna's smiling face. Grasp hold of Nitai's feet with great zeal. Nitai's feet stand eternally, bestowing immortality. Pray for their shelter perpetually. Narottam is feeling so sad. Nitai, by your grace, make me glad. Right by your reddish feet, please keep me. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Shishitana. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Shishitana. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Shishitala. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Shishitala. Yechaya Jagata Jurai. Yechaya Jagata Jurai. So, Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Nitai Pada Kamala, the lotus feet of Nitai. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Shushitala are like the soothing shade, the soothing beams of millions of moons. Koti Chandra Shushitala. Ichayai Jagat Churaya. Ichaya Jagat. Yeah. So why is this appearance of Lord Nityananda so special? What is so special about Lord Nityananda? What is so special about the shade of his feet? This day is quite important. Well, it's actually tomorrow, but this day is quite important, the celebration of Nitai, because Nitai is the conduit of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. This is how it seeks down to the lowest of the low, and even lower than that. That's where it goes. Now, why are you here today? You say, well, I'm here today to attend the program. No, what's the deeper meaning of why you're here? Why I'm here, why we're all here. Without Nitai's mercy, we would not be devotees. We could not be devotees. It would not be possible. That's why we're here. Thank you. Good evening. So this is the first point to meditate on, that to practice bhakti, to practice devotional service, there is some requirement, qualification-wise, which none of us have. So how are we doing it without qualification? Could you imagine, you read in the newspaper, not the newspaper, newspapers are old-fashioned. You read in the news that if you don't have a high school diploma, you're going to be allowed entrance into Harvard Law School. Whoa. Did I read that right? Yeah, exactly. If you do not have a high school, if you've never finished high school, there are some extenuous circumstances that have prevented you, probably a poor family situation, some situation that made it really difficult. You became joined a gang, you became addicted to drugs, whatever. And now Harvard Law School is going to allow you to join. Oh, let's just say Harvard in general. You can get into Harvard if you've never finished high school. What would you think? How would you express that? Oh my God, look at this, right? It's like, this is crazy. You can get into Harvard only if you haven't graduated high school. And I'm a straight A, top student in my high school, and they rejected me from Harvard, and the high school dropouts are going to get in. That's what Lord Nityananda's mercy is like. Take all the spiritual reprobates, the spiritual losers, put them all in one place and give them Lord Nityananda's mercy, and now they're dancing and chanting in ecstasy. Right? You know that story? Once there was a program, and nobody came to the program. They made like lots of prasadam, rented a big hall, like 5 people came or something. They said, Prabhupada, we're so sorry nobody came. He goes, what do you mean nobody came? You didn't see Narada Muni was here? Lord Brahma was here, Lord Shiva. And then Prabhupada said you should make seats for them because they come to all the programs. For this kirtan. So there's a seat for Narada, Brahma, and Shiva. Did you know that? He said make seats for them. Yeah. So one time Prabhupada said, Prabhupada was laughing, or I said, why are you laughing? He said, oh, Narada Muni was here. He was laughing at all the malechas. What? When they were chanting, he thought that was amazing. So, we sometimes say, I feel like I'm fallen, I'm not so spiritually advanced, or not so great. But I don't think we realize how fallen we are. Because by Bhagavatam's standards, if you read the standards for human life, most of us have not got there yet. One standard is not to become angry. Another standard is to be forgiving. Oh, I'm down on 2 accounts there, So the standards are pretty high, just according to Vedic culture of what it means to be human. You know, kind, non-violent, peaceful, controlled. So when you want to come to spiritual life, you need some via media to, you need in British law, what do they call it? When you go to court, they have a name. They don't just call it a lawyer, you have a barrister. And what are they called? The person who goes to court for you in India. What? Not barrister, but the one who's defending the case for you. Like the defense lawyer. I thought they had another name.
Plaintiff.
Advocate. Yeah, advocate. We don't really use that in America, do we? Advocate. It's more of a British thing. Quite British thing. Got a different name. The lawyer behind the scenes is one thing, the lawyer in the court's another thing. Advocate. So Lord Nityananda is the advocate for the fallen souls. So Lord Chaitanya did this pastime. It's very interesting to look at it from this specific point of view, where Lord Chaitanya played the role of the most compassionate avatar, but when an offense was made to Nitai, Lord Chaitanya came to destroy the offender. And what happened? Who was the advocate for the offender? The very person that tried to kill Nitai, he was advocating for mercy. That's amazing, don't you think? This person tries to kill you. Lord Chaitanya hears about it. He comes, says, you've tried to kill my devotee. I will kill you. And Lord Nityananda says, spare him. Give him your mercy. That's a Leela which shows us that Nitai is the advocate of mercy. That Lord Chaitanya gave him, and now he's advocating for everybody. And what did Nitai say? Well, my dear Lord, these two men, Jagai and Madai, are kind of typical of everybody. So if you're going to kill them because they've offended me, you're probably going to have to kill everybody. And it's interesting if you study the concept of mercy, how it works and what it is. Mercy means that someone is blessed without qualification. Someone is given something they don't deserve, simply out of compassion and love. There's no other reason. You're getting into Harvard. Why? Because you're a high school dropout. It doesn't make sense. There's no qualification for mercy. It's the lack of qualification that qualifies you. The worse off you are, the more qualified you are for mercy. That's the way it works. Mercy doesn't look for qualification. If you're looking for qualification to reward somebody, that's called justice. You've earned this. You've done well. You've earned this. We're letting you into Harvard. That's a just system. Those who perform get rewarded. Those who don't fail. That's a just system. Mercy interrupts that and says, "Oh, you failed. We'll let you in also." There's no reason for it. The only reason is that it's mercy. What I find interesting is Christianity is based on the same concept, right? What is the verse? Every man has fallen and comes short of the glory of the Lord, something like that. And so now you have the via media. Jesus will accept the karma, the sin. You're free, and God will. Now you're pure. You can be offered to God. It's exactly the same thing. Well, it is interpreted differently nowadays. That you can be forgiven forever, no matter what you do. And of course, we know in the Vedic system, you are forgiven as long as you do not continually, consciously commit the same sins that you were forgiven of committing. So I think that's what Jesus meant. It just got kind of watered down over time. But aside from that, it's the same idea. So let's go to 1965. It's August. Srila Prabhupada is finally ready to come to America. The reason we're all sitting here today is because Prabhupada got in that boat. If he didn't get on the boat, this wouldn't be happening. We would not know what is bhakti, at least not in the way it's known in the world today, as widely and as so succinctly and purely as it's known. So when anybody comes to our movement and they see what we're doing and they like the prasadam and they like the kirtan, they like Bhagavad Gita, just tell them none of this would have happened unless it wasn't for our spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada. And they get this connection, they understand, oh, this person brought this. He risked his life to bring it. I like this. There's a connection made immediately. It's really beautiful to present that. So let's go to India. Let's go to 23. Srila Prabhupada meets his spiritual master. His spiritual master says, we want to take Krishna Bhakti to the West. You're educated, why don't you do it? 42 years later, Prabhupada was ready to do it. Did Prabhupada know what was going to happen? No. But Prabhupada knew one thing. He knew that the mercy of Lord Nityananda, if he could channel that mercy, if he could channel that compassion, if he can channel those teachings and mood, that anyone could be purified. Anybody, didn't matter. It's just like no discrimination, no prerequisite qualification, no screening, no testing, nothing. Anybody. So let's try to put this in perspective. Srila Prabhupada was born in 1986. India was quite a conservative place as compared to the world today. A lot of what we see in the world today was not known in India, or it was in the closet, or it was taboo. Like divorce. Nobody got divorced. The homosexuality was totally in the closet. It was shunned. High standards of morality was the norm. And Prabhupada comes to America in 1965, the exact year that the hippie movement actually, it transformed from what was called beatniks to hippies. It was like the first wave was people who were rejecting society, big corporations, and start talking about, things we talk about, the wage differences and the corruption in the corporate industry and political corruption, environment. All that it was starting, rooting, and then it transformed into a bigger movement. The beatniks were a small movement. It transformed into a bigger movement, where much of the younger generation of America had become hippies, which was signified by a turning away from a materialistic way of life, a abhorrence to a materialistic way of life, and looking for love and peace. Why do we have to fight? Why can't we just love one another? Why can't we share instead of compete? These kinds of values. And people were turning now to other countries, especially eastward, to look for answers, because they didn't feel America had the answers. It was too much of a materialistic country. They weren't satisfied with the religion in the West. They were looking for something deeper. So those were the years when meditation and yoga started to sprout, not hugely in America, started to sprout. Vegetarianism, still kind of rare, but it was sprouting in those days. That's when Prabhupada came. So it's coming from this very, very conservative Indian religious culture, who sets up his first temple right in the heart of the hippie movement in New York, the Lower East Side. So one of the symptoms became kind of a way of life, strangely. Symptom of a hippie. How did you know you're a hippie? You let your hair grow out. That was the first sign. just grow over your ears. It's like rebellion. The short haircut is the standard. So grow your hair long. It's a rebellion. How do you dress? Strange clothes. You may dress like an Indian, very colorful. You dress differently. It's a sign you're not with the society. So you go into New York, you go into the Lower East Side, and lots of people dressed in many different ways, very strangely, outlandishly, and people are experimenting a lot now, not just marijuana and hashish, but psychedelic drugs like LSD and mushrooms. And for some people, it wasn't just an experiment, like recreational experiment. It was pretty serious. They were doing it a lot. And free love. It was the time in America that the moral values switched from this chastity between one man and one woman in marriage to why not have a different girlfriend or boyfriend every week, every day, every month? It happened. It all happened that year. It all changed that year that he came. It was amazing. And I can say this because I was there. I saw it. If anyone tells you about what was going on then, and they weren't there, tell them to check with me, because I was there. I wasn't in New York, but I was in Haight area, so I can tell you. But just being alive and watching it, we knew pretty much what was happening. So imagine you're Prabhupada, and you're coming into this scene, which even for your average American at that time, who was like over 30, it was really weird. The parents of these kids are like, this is insane what my kids are doing. They're just giving up everything, dropping out of university, all their opportunities, and they're going to San Francisco, they're going to New York to sit around in the park and play music and smoke marijuana all day. That's what they're doing. The parents were going crazy. These are the people that were coming to the first temple. Now, Prabhupada could have seen this, and he could have sized it up and said, when's the next boat back to India? This is not going to work. As we know, fortunately, he didn't do that. And so I want to ask the question, why didn't he do that? And the answer is very important for understanding Nityananda. From the external point of view, the younger generation had never fallen to that low of a position in terms of, if you want to consider it low in terms of morality. It was low. And I was there, so it was low. I mean, I wasn't that bad. I was a student. But I was a student in Berkeley, and that's pretty weird there, and pretty low there. And San Francisco's across the bay. And I had been to Haight-Ashbury right in the beginning, visited, and had gone back. So I'd seen a lot of it. And I had some friends who took too much LSD and went a little crazy. I had some friends who killed themselves overdosing on drugs. So it had never been like that before. The free sex and like that, it had never been there. It was, and so here Prabhupada is there, and he's looking at this. And sometimes I think he could have just saw that and said, "Oh my Krishna, this is impossible. They'll never get it. They're too fallen. They're too far gone. It's finished." So now we want to try to imagine what Prabhupada was thinking. And I don't think it's difficult to imagine. He's thinking that I have a drug that's so powerful it can cure any spiritual deficiency existing within the life of these people. Whatever is wrong with them spiritually, this drug can cure. Which is why he didn't pack up and leave, which is why he stayed there and worked so hard to give it to people who otherwise they were incoherent. They'd taken too many drugs. If you take too many, it takes a while to normalize, if ever. And there's always some residual. The word spaced out, we use that word, Where are my keys? I spaced out. That's a drug word. That's what you do when you take drugs. you space out. You can't focus. But if you take too many, after you stop taking them, you also can't focus so well. So this is talking to people, or he's doing a lecture. You know? And so what is he thinking? He's thinking, in this age, Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya has come, and his mission is to give Krishna Bhakti to everybody without qualification, doesn't matter. So what seems like disqualification, in a sense, becomes qualification, because Lord Chaitanya has chosen that we will give the chanting of Hare Krishna, we will give the process of this process to anybody, as long as they're willing to take it. And if they're willing to take it, that's all that matters, because Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya, have made the drug so strong, the drug of the Hare Krishna mantra is so strong that it doesn't matter how sick you are. And in fact, sometimes in our literature, the Hare Krishna mantra is referred to as a medicine. Oshroti is in Sanskrit, maybe Hindi also, is medicine. It's referred to a medicine. And the disease is the repetition of birth and death. The disease is ignorance. The disease is lack of spirituality. So, Prabhupada is here in America, in New York. He's sizing everything up, and he stays for this reason, because he knows the mercy of Lord Nityananda is such, the power is such that he has put power into the Hare Krishna mantra that it was never in this mantra before. Did you know that? Like, you have this, people don't understand mantra. They think, oh, it's just a mantra, so it's a mantra, and it's just a mantra, and you just chant it, and whatever. You know, it does what it does. Not exactly. Do you know that there's mantras that don't work unless you have a certain lifestyle? That absolutely work. If you don't have a certain lifestyle, they just don't work. Did you know that? If you're given Gayatri mantra and you're not living in Sattva-gun, it doesn't work. You have to be Sattva for the mantra to actually have any effect. We're given the Maha mantra, and it works on anybody. It doesn't matter what they're doing. But typically, mantras have to be, you have to have a lifestyle, a certain lifestyle. A fairly pure lifestyle for the mantra to have effect. You know, it's like you get a medicine and say, no, don't take it after meals, otherwise it doesn't work. So, Lord Chaitanya came, he gave the Hare Krishna mantra, which already existed before he came, but he put in a special formula that this mantra now in Kali Yuga is going to have power that it never had before. What power? You give it to anybody without qualification, with any lifestyle. They don't have to do anything. And it can take them to the highest position of spiritual life, higher than anyone has ever achieved before. Even those who were qualified, you can take them higher than the people who are qualified. Okay, on the count of three, everybody say, wow. Turn to the person next to you and say, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Isn't it amazing? So in Kali Yuga, the Lord Chaitanya's idea was, we will do something we've never done before. It's like, what's a really expensive store? What's like the most high-end store?
Walmart.
Gucci's, Neiman Marcus, Gucci's more. We need some professional shoppers here to tell us, okay, Gucci's, right? So what we're talking about is kind of like today, we'll say tomorrow because it's Nityananda's appearance day. Tomorrow, everything in Gucci's is 99 cents. Something like that. Like anybody can get 99 cents together, and you can get anything you want. It's like that's kind of what was done in this age. Like you don't need the spiritual wealth now. You're gonna get it for the 99 cents of your faith, at least you'll try to chant, you'll get it. And it's now put in this mantra, even though this mantra existed before, but in this age, what's put in this mantra will cure diseases that it couldn't cure in other ages. That's Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And all you need is 99 cents of faith. Enough faith to try it. That's it. And if you don't have 99 cents, we'll work out a deal. You can pay later. Or we'll get someone to buy it for you. It's something like that. So the point I want to make, or maybe I made, and maybe it wasn't clear, was that the Hare Krishna movement is really the manifestation and personification of Nityananda's mercy, which was carried by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was carrying Nityananda's mercy. That's what he was doing. He was giving. Because Nityananda went to the lowest, most unqualified. That's who he was attracted to, helping people who had no spiritual qualification. Even people who were, by material standards, were considered lowly or outcast. And Prabhupada perfectly represented it, and it worked. Now, a lot of you know, while Prabhupada was doing this, there were people in India saying, no. You can't give this to Americans. They have to be born into it. If they're not born into it, they're not qualified. That was in the background of what Prabhupada was doing. People were condemning him, saying, this is not for people who are not born in Brahmin families. Or, at best, this is not for people born outside of India. This is bogus. So, Prabhupada came back to India with his American disciples, who he called dancing white elephants, meaning if you bring a dancing white elephant, it attracts a crowd. So he came back with young Americans, sadhus, and there's a certain class of people who said, no, these are not sadhus, they're Americans, it's not possible. This is what he was going in. And he was showing them it's possible. Hello, you say it's not possible. It's like I'm lifting 300 pounds. You skinny guy, you can't lift 300 pounds. No, I'm doing it. No, you're not. Yeah, I am. It's 300 pounds. It's like he brought them there. Personifications of Nityananda's mercy, and they're saying, no. Like, what? How can you say no? Look at what's happening. So this is what Prabhupada was going against, people who were undermining him or telling him this is not right, this is against our tradition, it's against our philosophy. And Prabhupada, knowing clearly, this is the essence of our philosophy, to give love of God to everybody, no matter who they are, if they want to take it, if they're willing. So this movement and our lives are simply manifestations of Nityananda's mercy. That's why this exists. And if Prabhupada did not manifest that mercy, we wouldn't be here. If he sized it up and said, no way, when's the next boat back to India? That would have been a manifestation of a lack of faith in Nityananda's mercy, and a lack of estimation, right? And so Prabhupada perfectly carried it. Now, something amazing was told to me that I never thought of. We have this idea of empowerment. It's quite a common word today in the West, especially in corporate circles. Empower your employees. Don't just hang over them like helicopters. Empower them. But where did that word come from? It's a Sanskrit word. Avesh. Avesh means empowered. And we have this word avatar, Shakti-avesh, avatar. What's an avatar? Ava means down. One who crosses down with Shakti, energy, empowered. One who comes down with, kind of like Superman. Just flies over. He's a Shakti-avesh avatar. Basically, right? So Shakti-avesh avatar means you take a living entity and you inject him with the potency of that particular divine personality. So that person now acts like that divine person would act in the same way if they were present. Does that make sense? I give Ram Vijay $1 billion. He's now empowered $1 billion. He has $1 billion. He didn't earn it. It's not his. It was given to him. But he can act like a billionaire now. Something like that. He's a Shakti billion avatar. No, $1 billion of Asia avatar. He's $1 billion of Asia avatar. Right? So it's not his billion, but he has $1 billion. So now he can compete with Warren Buffett and the rest. I got my $1 billion. I'm going to start my new company. Put you guys out of business. It's $1 billion of Asia avatar. Right? You want $1 billion? All right. When I get it,
I want to build a temple.
Oh yeah, build it. Chuck, yeah, build a temple of Asia avatar. $1 billion would help. You could build a few more temples. Okay. So, but the point is, when you get the Shakti, then you are non-different. I have $1 billion, I give it to him. He's non-different. He's now a billionaire. I'm a nothingaire now. I have no money. I give it all to him. It doesn't work that way spiritually. You give $1 billion, you have $1 billion. But now, Ram Vijay has $1 billion. So if you're Shaktivesh avatar, you have the same potency of that person. And therefore, you do exactly what they would do if they were personally present. Are you following me? Does that make sense? Right? You've got $1 billion in your pocket. Now, he can do what I would have done. He can build a temple I would have built. Prabhupada comes to New York. He's the Shaktivesh avatar of Nityananda. He's got Nityananda's mercy. What he does is non-different in power, in result, than what Nityananda would have done if Nityananda was personally there. It's absolutely no different. That's what it means to be Shaktivesh avatar. So, let's say, imagine Prabhupada didn't come, Nityananda came, the exact same result would be there because Prabhupada had Nityananda Shakti. He was Nityananda incarnate. That is what this movement is. Nityananda represents the highest form of compassion and grace. And our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, represented that, and he asked us to represent it. Now, let me tell you a little history about the Hare Krishna movement. It's so interesting. And I'm so fortunate that I was there to experience it and see it all. When all of us met Prabhupada, it was very clear that Prabhupada was extremely compassionate. And it was clear that basically all he was thinking about was how to bless other people. That was just what was on his mind all the time. And it was also clear that that was infectious. It was infecting us with this idea that you exist to help other people. That's why you exist. That's what our mission is. That's why you, as a devotee of Krishna, you exist to bless others. That's the meaning. So you could imagine, 95% or 99% of the people joining in those days were hippies. And hippies were very, very much about, if it feels good, do it. It's a very sensual time. Just, don't hurt anybody, but if it feels good, do it. And compassion is all about feeling pain for the suffering of others, caring about others, and no longer caring about yourself and undergoing sacrifice to help others. We switched 180 degrees because that was Prabhupada's, that's what he was. He was personified compassion. And so it infected all of us. And we were like 20 years old, running around America, trying to help people with Krishna consciousness like there's no tomorrow, making huge, huge sacrifices that we'd never made, wouldn't even think of making, wouldn't even believe we could make. That's the power of Nityananda. When you get infected by that mercy, you want to start sharing it and helping other people. So Prabhupada was taking these very fun-loving hippies, and they were transformed in a matter of days sometimes into these amazingly compassionate, caring people who were sacrificing their youth and their comfort to help other people. That is not normal, is it? That's a manifestation of Nitai's mercy. That's what happens when you have mercy. So, the concept of mercy or grace, it's there in every religion. We call it kripa. And the concept is that when you get kripa, it's an empowerment, it's a gift which enables you to think and feel and act in a way which ordinarily would be impossible for you. It's something, it's like an empowerment, it's like that Shaktivish in a smaller way. So, if you want to achieve something that is impossible for you, it's not impossible anymore. Because kripa comes in and makes the impossible possible. And that's why in our books there are so many verses that describe how the impossible becomes possible. If you can attract the kripa of a great devotee, a great sadhu, a great saint, by their presence, by their blessing, if they're kind upon you, if they bless you, you can achieve what would ordinarily be impossible. And Prabhupada knew that. And we were doing that. We were becoming people we could never actually be by the kripa. We were overcoming desires which in our wildest imagination we could never imagine transcending these desires. The first time I saw devotees, I really liked them. I really liked what they're teaching. Then I found out the principles. So you know the principles. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. So the no meat eating and the no gambling, yeah, okay. But we're hippies. No intoxication, no illicit sex. When I heard that, my spontaneous thought was, that's impossible. It was just like, there's no way I can do that. That's not even within the realm of my imagination that it could be that way. Right? And what happened 6 weeks later? By the mercy of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra in the process of bhakti, I was following it. That's how kripa works. It makes impossible possible. For you individually as a person, what you think is impossible for you is only a lack of faith in mercy. That's all it is. With mercy, you can do that. I joined the Hare Krishna movement when I was 19, in January of 1970. By August of 1970, I was the temple president. I had just turned 20. I was the temple president. How do you do that? How do you run a temple? At the age of 20, and you know, 8 months ago, you were like on the street playing your guitar and having fun with your friends. And I won't mention all the other things we did, but you can understand that wasn't like the prerequisite qualification for becoming the president of a Hare Krishna temple. And I wrote to Prabhupada and I said, this is hard. And Prabhupada said, if you pray for mercy, it will be given and you will be successful. He said, but if you don't, he didn't put it in his words, but I'll put it in a more colloquial way. And if you don't get that mercy, you will create a total mess in your temple. That's basically what he said. Like, you cannot be successful unless you're connected to this higher power. And if you're connected, you'll be successful. On your own, it's not going to work. You're not qualified to do it. That's what he wrote me. And I wasn't the only one. I had a godbrother who in 6 months became a temple president, and he didn't even know what was in the Bhagavad Gita yet. He was responsible for opening up our movement in Australia. How could this happen? Because this divine system where mercy comes, you now become a puppet, you become empowered, you're given ability, you're given intelligence, and your limited abilities are no longer an obstacle. So whenever you have a challenge, if you say, Krishna, please give me your mercy. Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, my dear Gurudev, give me your mercy. Have faith that that mercy can help you overcome the biggest challenges in your life and empower you to be successful. That I think would be the greatest lesson we could take home today on this day, to have faith in that mercy. And I was just trying to paint the picture of what mercy does and how it works, so we could kind of hone it in for myself. For us as young devotees, it's a reality. We were thrown in the fire very young, without experience. If we didn't raise our hand and say, Krishna, help us, it would have been a complete mess. It was kind of a mess anyway. We messed up a lot of things, but we did a lot of things as well, and that's how we did it. Funny story. So, in the early days of our movement, we didn't have many people. We had a lot to do, and we had deities, and deities fully installed. We had to cook 6 times a day, do 6 offerings, and so whoever could stand up long enough to cook and have initiation was in the kitchen. So I was asked to go in the kitchen, and I said, well, I know how to boil water, I think. I'm not sure, actually. I'm going to try that. But beyond that, I'm not sure how to cook. And they said, just go in, bow down on the kitchen floor, and pray, and Krishna will guide you. And that's basically how everything happened in those days, because we had no mentors, because there weren't any, because we were these senior devotees, 6 months in movement and 19 years old. There was nobody to ask how to do anything, because nobody did anything yet. So, okay, here's some books, go out and sell them. Here's a bus ticket, go to university, and, knock on the doors of the professors and tell them we want to give classes. How do you do that? Just go out and do it. Krishna will guide you. I was 19 years old sitting in front of university class. I'm a university dropout teaching Bhagavad Gita. It's like so funny. And it was like, yeah, whatever, no problem. Krishna will help you. So this is how we grew up. So for our generation, this is not a philosophy. It's not a theory. This is what we were thrown into. And we did it. And when you're thrown into a situation where you have to do something, what happens? You do it. You know the story? The troops, the Navy troops, so the troops come on to the land, World War II, I think it was in Germany or Japan, and the captain says, blow up the ship. And why blow up the ship? He said, because if the ship's there, you have a way out of here. If there's no ship, you have to go into the wind or you die. So we were like that. We were the only ones. There was no one to turn it over to. Prabhupada gave it to us. He said, do it, and we did it. And if our generation can turn that mood over to you, then this movement will spread far and wide. And if we can't turn it over to you, I have doubts how far and wide it can go, because this was really how it happened. This whole movement is Nityananda's mercy. It's just how it works. And we're all products of that, and we have to continue to live it and share it, and it'll expand, and anybody can. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Premanande. Jai Nityananda.
Would you like to do questions?
Sure. Okay. Prashna. How do you say? Ke Prashna what? Hoy? Ke Prashna what? That means you have any questions. Question.
I think everyone is still stunned from your class, Prabhu, and trying to find ways on how we can feel the mercy. It's like, I forget the slogan of one of the companies, it's like, feel the joy. So from Mahatma Prabhu, we hear today, feel the joy, and then the next tagline, feel the mercy. So let's give another huge round of applause for His Grace Mahatma Prabhu for that wonderful class.
And be the mercy.
So feel the joy, feel the mercy, and be the mercy.
And give it.
Yeah. so much, so wonderful. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you everyone for joining us today at the Sunday program. Do we have anyone here for the first time? Welcome, welcome. Let's loudly chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to welcome our guests here who are here for the first time today.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
While we get started for the next part of the program, just wanted to introduce everyone to our speaker here for today. This is His Grace Mahatma Das Mahatma Prabhu, who is visiting us all the way from Florida. Mahatma Prabhu, as he mentioned in his class, is a disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, has been in the movement for almost 50 years, Prabhu?
52.
52 years. And Prabhu is world-renowned traveler. He's an amazing speaker. He sings beautiful bhajans and kirtan, and Prabhu is a really nice author as well. Prabhu is known worldwide, particularly for his japa workshops and helping make chanting, meditation more practical, easy, and something that we can find a lot of joy in. Before you came, Prabhu, the last Sunday I asked and made an announcement asking how many people feel the joy when they chant, and no one raised their hands. So how many of you all attended the workshop this weekend? Okay, it's a good number. Do we feel the joy in our chanting now? Do we feel the joy in our chanting? Yeah, see, hands are going up. Wonderful. So that's a testimony to His Grace Mahatma Prabhu and what he speaks about. So we're so
If
grateful.
you don't feel the joy, I'm not coming back.
So Prabhu,
Never feel the joy.
so if we feel the joy from chanting, can we hear the loud Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we're so grateful for Mahatma Prabhu for joining. I mentioned on Friday that this Mahatma Prabhu is our first visitor to this new building, our special guest for a seminar in 2020, and also since COVID started for our first Sunday program, we've had a special guest here. So we are so honored that Mahatma Prabhu is you, and thank you for helping us bring this historic event here together. And it is so wonderful to have you here at our temple, and we look forward to your next seminar here very, very soon here at ISKCON of Round Rock. So thank you so much, Mahatma Prabhu. The next part of the program is, as we mentioned, Mahatma Prabhu is known worldwide for his amazing, amazing kirtans. If you are interested in getting more of his recordings of classes and kirtans or his books, there is a book table right in the back, and Janki, you can raise your hand, can give you more information, so please make sure to check that out. And our next part of the program here is we're going to have some, I was going to say hair raising, but not everyone has hair, so let's go like roof raising, trees shaking, earth shattering, absolutely rocking kirtan by His Grace Mahatma Prabhu while the arti will go on. So we request everyone to please rise. Those of you who are at the back and sitting on the chairs, if you don't mind moving the chairs to the side or slightly to the back so that there is space for people to dance and move around. So we just do that and we'll get started. We'll get our kirtan going here shortly. Hare Krishna.
Get you a mic. You could have.
You gonna tell him?
Yeah, probably not. We don't need more. I'm going to watch party tonight, so a watch party. Let me go. That's right. Yes,
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Krishna.
Nityananda Trayodashi.